For those who are not familiar with that, in the UK, they would make this with gelatin, with extracts, and with fruit purees. I'm going to use good old Jello here in the US. First thing we're going to do, we're going to use our kettle since it's right here, and I'm going to boil a cup of water. So for those of you who are familiar with the process, we're going to boil some water, and we're going to put our Jello in the bag, or out of the bag into the bowl. And also, for those who may not be aware, who are outside the United States, there's a quick set method for this, and that's what we're going to use. So, and the one thing I did forget was to get out a bowl for trash. So I'm going to do that real quick. Hopefully that's big enough. I don't think we have a lot of trash today. So, got my trash bowl out. If you're here, give me a thumbs up or a hi. I would love to hear from you. Also, while we're waiting for that to boil, I need to prepare my cake pan. I'm going to do that so I don't have to keep washing my hands. I'm going to grab some butter out of my butter container. Not that much. I've got a parchment in the bottom, but I'm going to put just a little dab of butter on the bottom to make that parchment stay where it belongs. I'm going to wash it anyway, so. And then we're going to go around the sides just to make sure that when we put the cake in there, that it's not going to stick to the sides. Doesn't take long. Don't have to do the bottom because of the parchment. And we are set. Okay, so the cake pan is set. And just as the water boils, friends, my UK friends couldn't believe I didn't have a kettle because I'm a tea drinker. So I have pre-measured this. So this is 1 cup of boiling water. I have a kettle because of my friends in the UK. They couldn't believe I didn't have an electric kettle. So I always did a kettle on the stove. Okay, so first step for our jelly cake is to make the gelatin layer, because we've got to get that in the fridge so that it firms up so we can put it on top of the cake. Something I've never done before, so this could be very interesting. Anyway, so you're supposed to stir this for like 2 minutes to make sure it's all the sugar is melted and and you don't end up with like a crystallized kind of jello situation, which is not appealing to eat. So, I know Ella has, she's the one who actually requested this. Has anyone else had a jelly cake or a jello cake where you've got like a layer of cake, you've got a layer of cream, and you've got a layer of jello, or jelly as they call it? That's what they call it, is jelly. What we call jelly and jam, they call it all jam. So, okay, that should be about right. And then for the quick set method, you use a half a cup of cold water, and then you add ice to it. So we're going to do that. And then that goes in. And you stir that for a couple of minutes until it just starts to thicken up slightly. And if there's any ice left, then we'll pull the ice out when it starts to get a little thickened. I don't think we're going to have any ice left. I think it's going to be good and melted by the time it's even partially set. So it is all gone. However, it is close enough to room temperature. I'm going to ask my IT guy while I quick make up some strawberries so we can set this layer. If he'll put that in the fridge, just put it in the cake pan that we're going to use to pour the Jello in. So, because I don't think I'm going to be able to pour it all in there. So now I'm going to make myself some strawberries to go in there. And I've got a bowl here for that, so they can. I'm going to grab myself out about, I think I'll need about 6 or 8. So, hey Christy, good to see you. Thanks for coming back. I am doing pretty well today. I was having kind of a moment earlier, but I've rebounded. So I'm going to wash these strawberries real quick. And then I'm going to grab a paper towel here. And we're going to dry them. So we've got our Jello made, and that's cooling a little bit. We don't want it set. We just want it kind of soft set when we put our strawberries in there. What am I doing here? All right. I'm going to grab this to cut the tops off the strawberries. Some people would do the strawberry and then slice it. I'm going to just cut all the tops off the strawberries first. Everybody does it their own way. This is mine. The one thing you'll find when I'm cooking is I'm all about adapting for yourself. People say there are certain things you have to do a certain way, but you know, not everything. Although some people would tell you cooking is an art, but baking is a science. And I agree with that to a degree, but not completely. Because I think there's a lot of art to baking. And if we're relying too heavily on science, we don't come up with beautiful things. So, and I love science, don't get me wrong. But also, my favorite way to slice strawberries, with an egg slicer. You need a good one, good strong one, so that it doesn't mush your strawberries. But it just does it so much faster. And with so much less mess. Your fingers aren't all red and all that good stuff, so. Now, if they get too wide, that's a problem. You'll have to cut them. So, I'm going to hope that's your name, and I hope I don't butcher it too badly. Is it Drayomir? Thank you for coming in. Good to see you. We're making a jelly cake today. Help me keep an eye on that, folks. I tend to forget to tell everybody what we're making. It's something I should probably put as a prompt in the chat so that I remember to tell everybody, hey, it's jelly cake day or whatever. So, and it's funny, I just talked about how this is starting to get a little wonky. So I'm going to have to kind of watch the one tine on that. Make sure it gets to where it needs to go. So, but you can actually replace these wires with guitar wire. Come on, you. Thank you. So, and of course it has to be the one in the middle that decides to give up the ghost today, but that's okay. All right, that one behaved. And I've got one more and we'll be done. So, easy peasy. And yes, if you've got great knife skills, you could just do it with a knife. And I have pretty good ones, but this is just easier in my mind. So, we're done with that. Give that a little rinse since it's got tomato or strawberry coloring on it. Ew. Okay. All right. So you want to pull that Jell-O back out for me, please? And we'll get that layer done. This is the first time I've ever done a cake like this, so I'm a little nervous about how it's going to turn out. The other thing is, it calls for an 8-ounce or an 8-inch pan. I'm going to need the pan that's in there. And we pre-chilled this, so hopefully it'll help it a little bit. But I'm going to put a little bit of the jelly in there, or the gelatin, depending on who we're talking to. This is going to need to go in the wash after this. It's going to be all stained. But then I'm just going to take these and I'm going to put them around and make a nice little pattern. And I would show you, but if I show you, then the pattern's going to go sideways. So hopefully it looks pretty. Hopefully they don't float away too much, which they're starting to do. But the more we get in there, hopefully the better it will be set for what we need it to do. And I'm just putting this side towards the outside so that they're all kind of uniform. And it's interesting because it doesn't look as though it's sitting flat. So that's going to make, and I know that's something that happens on the bake-off all the time, is with the jellies, is if they're not sitting flat, they're going to be thicker on one side than the other. So that may happen to me. We will see. But I'm now on my second layer of strawberries to go around. And I know it's supposed to be a thin layer, which is why I was pretty sure we wouldn't be using the rest of that Jell-O. So if you're out there, do you make Jell-O desserts? When I make anything with Jell-O, I think about that Midwestern mom who I adore. I'm actually going to be at the filming of her first variety show next month, so I'm excited. Not the first, the second. So, and one of my favorite Great British Bake Off contestants will be there, so I'm pretty excited about that. All right, we've got a layer. And hopefully it's even enough that it'll look good. And I'm going to hand this over to my IT guy very carefully. And he's going to put that in the refrigerator very carefully. And hopefully in 30 to 45 minutes, when we're ready to use it, it's ready for us. I'm going to put this stuff to the side so we can get on with the next part, which we'll figure out where that goes later. All right, the next thing, I love that, Christy, that he thinks that your Jell-O's a food group. I used to eat it all the time as a kid. I don't eat it much as an adult. And I've even had the sugar-free, and it's actually very good. So, and a lot of sugar-free, especially sweet stuff, is not. So I am going to start my cake next. And what I need with that is I need 4 eggs. So I've got my 4 eggs here. I'm going to pop this up here so it's a little closer. If you're new here, and I know Christy's been here before, but if you're new here, I always crack my eggs in a bowl because I am notorious for getting eggshells in my cake, which never makes me happy. So, and that was an eggshell in the bowls, on the edge of the bowl, so just realized to put that in there. It kind of never fails if I put them in a bowl. I don't get shells in, but if I don't, I will. And it'll always be the last egg. If I'm using 4 eggs, it'll be the 4th one, I'm using 6. It'll be the 6th one. So anyway, so Christy, if your husband likes Jell-O that much, just curious, what's his favorite flavor? Because I always was partial to like the reds, the cherries, the strawberries, that kind, raspberry. I can eat raspberry Jell-O. I can't eat raspberries. I'm allergic to them. But I'm allergic to raspberries, blackberries, and avocados. That's how I found out avocado was a berry. So, and then I need half a cup of sugar. I need more sugar. I have plenty more. I'm one of those people. Anybody else? Somebody who I have a. Oh, there you go. That gentle reminder to make it, huh? Okay. That's funny. So we're going to mix the eggs and the sugar together. I was never a fan of like the lemon or the lime Jell-O, so no, that's what's not on here correctly. All right, let's just stop. Let's get this settled in. I didn't realize it wasn't settled in. There we go. Better. Okay. Okay, this is supposed to go for about 3 or 4 minutes, so I will try to talk over it. Akil, I wish I knew what you were saying. I wish I could translate that, but I can't. So I'm going to apologize that if it's not in English that I don't understand it. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I can understand a little bit of Portuguese. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Where are my tools? Bubba, I can't find my zester. I just had it. Okay, now I'm annoyed because I had my zester and I don't know what I did with it. Got my spatulas, I've got my whisk. Ah, there it is. Aha! And now I know why it was there, because I had a little cutting board in case doesn't. So I'm going to push this up just a little bit. So it's supposed to get some air put into it because we're using almond flour. So it's good to get some air whipped into it. My husband will cut this lemon up when I'm done with it, and he'll make lemonade, or my son will make lemonade out of it. Because I've already got a bunch of lemon juice frozen if I need it. So, and I needed to zest the whole lemon, so. Thank you, Akil. I appreciate that very much. All right, I'm going to put that to the side. And then I'm just going to chop up the zest a little more so it distributes better through the cake. Okay, that whipped up nicely. So we're going to stir in the lemon zest. If you've ever had an almond cake, they can be very dense and very heavy, and that zest will help lighten that up a bit. And then we're going to put a little bit of almond extract in there, about a half a teaspoon. And then we're going to get our dry ingredients, which are, Mr. IT man, I forgot the baking powder. Could you grab me that, please? All right. I need a cup and a half of almond flour. So I'm going to do this. I don't want to make a mess on my floor. So I'm going to do this in here. I usually do it over the sink when I do it and I'm not on camera for the same reason, that if I'm going to spill, I'll spill in the sink and I can just wash it down. But today we're going to do it this way. I can smell that almond extract. It smells good. Got that like almost cherry flavor to it, like a kirsch. All right. And yes, I did spill some, so I'm glad I did it that way. And we just fold this in. So we're going to set that on low. And need a teaspoon of baking powder. So, or as one of my favorite creators, Dylan, calls it floof powder, because it makes your cakes floof up. And this calls for a quarter teaspoon of salt. Yeah, that's a little more than that. So we're gonna, that's about right. Okay. Now we have our cake mixture all put together. Thought I grabbed a spatula, but I guess I didn't. So I'm gonna, a rubber spatula. So I'm gonna grab a rubber spatula here real quick so that I can pour the cake mixture into the cake pan. Now again, this is going to end up being kind of an experiment because it called for an 8-inch cake pan. I don't have one. So I have a 9 and I have a 9.5, and I use the 9 for the Jello. So this is a 9.5. So it's not going to be quite as thick as a normal almond cake with this recipe would be. So yeah, pop that in there. And then we've got a little bit of the zest that was left on the paddle and some almond flour that was up the sides. So we're going to put this in here. And then hopefully my IT guy is going to come in here and he's going to put this in the oven for me and set the timer for me. It smells so good between the almond extract and the lemon zest. Ooh, it smells so nice. Now you can optionally put some almonds on top, but I have a husband who doesn't like nuts in his food. So if I want him to try this, and he's not huge on Jello, but if I have nuts and Jello, he's not going to eat it. So he'll try it this way with a lot more. He'll be a lot more likely to try it. Let's put it that way. Okay, so that needs to cook for 30 minutes. Okay, so we've got our jelly layer, and we've got our cake going in, and then I'm just going to get all this stuff out of our way so we can go on to the next step. I'm getting better at being just a little bit more organized every time. I'm still not great at it, but I'm getting there. So the next thing I'm going to make, and we'll put it back in the fridge because everything's not ready, Actually, I could wait for that. What I really should do is there's some beef stock in there, isn't there? While I'm waiting, because this is what I would do. This isn't what I would do. This is what I'm doing with my own kitchen. If I wasn't on camera, I would do it this way as well. While that stuff's all baking, I'm going to get my dinner started because it's going to take a good hour. You good, bud? Okay. Can you get me the beef out, please? So we're going to have, if you were here yesterday, and I know that Christy was here yesterday, but if you were here yesterday, I made some vegetable beef soup, and I had a lot of beef left over, and I was just too stinking tired. Oh, it's right here. I'm sorry. I was too stinking tired to cook last night, so we ate the soup instead. And then I'm going to open the window a little bit because it is warm in here, friends. It is warm. Okay, so I tossed all that meat that was left over into a marinade, marinated it overnight, a Korean beef type marinade, and we are going to pop that all easy peasy right into the Instant Pot. And because it's a tougher cut of meat, it's going to have to go for a little while. So, and sink. And then use a regular spoon for now. Actually, I'll use one of the big spoons. That'll work. Stir that in there, and then I'm going to put some onion in there. I'm going to chop up an onion real quick. So I love easy meals like this. Like I said, it's going to take a while, but we'll pop that into the Instant Pot, and when we're done here, I'll throw some broccoli. Once it's cooked, I'll throw some broccoli in there. I'll thicken up the sauce, and done. So, I mean, I think, Christy, was it you that was telling me you're Italian, right? I'm sure you've got meals like that where it's like a little bit of prep, or you've got to marinate it overnight. But once you do that, it's kind of easy to put together. And it tastes like it's cooked all day because it marinated all night. So I'm just going to do some sliced onions just to make it easy. Some, I'll cut this in half and then yeah, I love marinated meals. One of the other ones that we do, that we've tried just recently, I think the name of the restaurant is Nobu, but they do have a black cod recipe that you can you marinate for 2 to 3 days. You marinate the fish. And we made that recently. It's like a miso marinade. Oh my goodness. It was so good. And it was so easy. We just, like I said, we made just what we did here. Made the marinade, and then we popped it in the oven with some veggies, some very small veggies. Pardon me. Pardon my dogs. They make noise. What can I say? Oh, fussing at the neighbor dogs, which is funny because they adore them, but they all have to bark at each other. So they sound vicious and their tails are wagging. So Christy, do you have a favorite thing that you make like that, where it's like you marinate it for a couple of days and then you just toss it in the oven or toss it in the crock pot or whatever? And it's all done. So I'm going to do the beef setting on this, and then we'll move it out of the way. Come on, you. It always seems to be when I'm on camera that I have problems with this. So we're going to put it, I think. Yep, that was about right, about 30-40 minutes. So that's going to go for about, once it comes to pressure, it's going to go for about 35 minutes. So I don't even have to think about that anymore. So that one's done. I've got some broccoli, frozen broccoli that is currently thawing. So that's done. And then I buy from Costco, I buy the little bowls of rice. So if I'm in the mood, I'll have it, and my son will have it. Sometimes if I'm trying to watch my carbs, I will make cauliflower rice. So that's something that I do too. Okay. So hands all washed off. That's the one thing it took me years to start doing it, and that was to clean as I go. So now, when I do when I do this, I can't keep up with cleaning along the way. So it's kind of weird for me. So I will do more beans. I promise you, Stephen, I will do more beans, just not today. I got to eat the ones that we made. That's going to take a couple days. But, oh, goodness. Beans are such a great addition to just about everything. So, all right. This is one of my favorite little handy dandy things. And the thing about these jelly cakes, so that's the main thing we're making, and then dinner is just a side thing. The jelly cake, I've seen them with like a cream cheese, a thick cream layer. I've also seen them with just whipped cream. We're going to try it with just whipped cream. So we'll see how that works. But I will use a little extra. In the UK, this is called icing sugar. We call it powdered sugar. Both make sense to me because essentially, and I didn't know this, I was way older than I want to admit when I found out that to make powdered sugar, you basically take regular sugar, you put it in a food processor, and you process it until it's light and powdery. But it's very often used for, or most often, especially in the UK, it's used for icing, to make icing. And where we will use it for, there's something else that we use it for, like we'll dust with that. They also have castor sugar. So castor sugar is kind of between granulated sugar and powdered sugar. And castor sugar is, demerara sugar is the best for brulee, but castor sugar is a good second for that. So, IT man, can you get me my whipping cream, please? He loves when I quote bossing him around. His words, not mine. And I may make like a double batch so I can do some on the bottom and some on the top. Or some some on the layer and then some on the top. All right, thank you, my love. So I can talk to my IT guy like that. He's my son. Just so you know. Just in case you were wondering. I actually like that term, love. And I know there's a couple places in the UK where they actually use that term instead of using you. So I love a good marinated piece of chicken. As a matter of fact, I know this is probably sacrilege to you since you are Italian, but we will buy a bottle of Italian dressing and we will marinate our chicken in a bottle of Italian dressing. So if it's Dana, I hope I get this right. Hi to you too. And I make more now that I make them on camera. Um, I try to find things that are naturally gluten-free as often as I can. There are some things that I actually really want to try and really want to make that are naturally gluten-free. Some of them intimidate me a little bit. And I will, the thing is, like, one of them is very hard to make on camera because it takes a long time to make and it takes a long time to cool in the oven. So, and that's a pavlova. I have never made one. I have another dessert that is a apricot and hazelnut meringue type of cake, and it's so good. It was so hard to make when I made it the first time, and I was so worried about it. And so getting that texture right of meringues kind of it kind of concerns me, kind of scares me, if you will. Um, but yes, I try to make one or two a week when I'm going live. So we just started doing that. So I'm not sure how long, because I'll be honest with you guys, if I'm cooking 5 days a week and as many things as I tend to make, I have more food than we can eat. So I even said with the cake that we're making today, because it's an almond cake. I love almond. My family, not so much. We will probably all try a piece, and then we're going to take it to my sister-in-law. A couple of my brother-in-laws live with her, and she takes care of a lot of people. So we will probably be taking that to her. This thing makes a lot of noise, so I will try to talk over it. You can talk amongst yourselves if you want. And Chrissy, that makes my heart feel good to know that you do the same thing with chicken. So gotta love a marinated meat. It just makes it a lot easier to cook. So I'm gonna get this started. It's gonna make some noise. It's gonna look like it's going out of here, but I promise you it won't. Um, and nothing makes whipped cream faster out of heavy whipping cream than this stuff. And I'll stop at about a minute, maybe a little sooner when it starts to thicken up, and I'll add the sugar. Yeah, once I see it starting to get some air in it, I stop, and I'll probably spill a little bit of this, but that's okay. The other thing about putting powdered sugar in, it just makes it, the sweetness is a little lighter. And this is going to be a pretty sweet dessert, so. Okay. And that'll bring it together a lot faster. I think it's fascinating. And to watch people do this by hand, I'm just like, I'm in awe of people like that. And there we go, just that fast. We have whipped cream. Stabilized with the joys of being the cook. So, oh, good. I'm glad to hear that, Christy. Because yeah, there's a lot, but there's also, and I'm gonna, there's also a lot of things, like I said, that are naturally gluten free. I'll tell you one of my favorite, and I believe it's an Italian treat. So you may already know how to make them. They're called, I believe, Riccarelli cookies, naturally gluten free. And man, when I found those things, I was in heaven the first time I made those things, because they taste like a real cookie. They just don't, they use, I'm pretty sure they use almond flour, and there's a little bit of lemon in them. They're almost like a crinkle cookie, but with a little lemony and almondy taste. So good. So good. But I'm going to make another batch of this, so I'm sure that I have enough, because, and here's the thing, with my family, they are not going to be mad if there's leftovers of whipped cream. I don't know about your family, but my family won't care. So, oh goodness. So this is my second dessert of the week. We made the cupcakes earlier this week, and I made the mistake. I didn't realize until the video was over. I forgot they were pineapple upside down cupcakes, and I forgot to put the brown sugar in them. So there was no caramelization at the bottom, which is why they were sticking like they were. So I'm going to start this back up. Ooh, I think I put a little too much in. It's coming out. I'm going to need my, you know what? I'll just put my glove over the top. Once it starts to thicken up, it won't come out anymore. So there we go. All right. And this is almost, this one's going to thicken up faster, I think. And one of the things about, the biggest thing about gluten-free baking, like the best tip I ever heard, especially when you're using like a 1-for-1 measure, and there's a lot of those out there. Bob's Red Mill, I think, is a really good one. King Arthur is good. And my favorite one, but it's really expensive, it's called Gluten-Free by Gluten-Free Jules or something like that. My husband made Christmas cookies with that flour. No one noticed. It's that good. But the thing that helps with gluten-free flour, it tends to be a little more grainy, is you let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, with the almond, I didn't do that because it's not specifically a gluten-free 1-to-1. So I do have an Aldi's. So tell me about Aldi's. What do I need to know? I don't go there much. It's not super close. I have other things closer, but I do have access to one. So what about Aldi's? Tell me. So about another minute and this will be done. And there we go. Whipped cream. And yes, I could turn it into butter, but we don't want to do that today. So taste this batch. Quality control, you know what I mean? So the advantage of being the cook when you're at home. Obviously not in a restaurant, but I'm going to soak some stuff because sometimes not soaking it means later on it's really rough to get stuff out. So oh, no, I haven't. I didn't know they had a gluten-free cheesecake. My husband would be delighted because we both like cheesecake. And I found a gluten-free graham cracker crumbs that I love to use for a base for that. But if we could find one that we could get at a store for special occasions and things like that, my husband would rather have a cheesecake than any other kind of cake. So that would make him very, very happy. So again, advantage of being the cook. Getting a little taste. So rinse those hands off. Say, hey, Mr. IT man, got some stuff for you. And okay, we need to check on our jelly layer and see how that's going. That's okay, Ella. We just finished making some cream, whipped cream. We've made the jelly layer. It's working on, oh, look at that. It's almost set up. Look at that. Almost set up. In good shape. The cake is in the oven. I just finished making the whipped cream, which needs to go in the fridge so it doesn't break down. I'm just kind of cleaning up. I've got, 9 minutes until the until the cake is done. So we're going to have to wait for that to cool a little bit. But, oh, that's a great idea, Christy. Yeah. Yeah, Dana, that's what she said at Aldi's. I guess I'm going to have to get down there. I've heard some really good things about about the gluten-free down there. Now, where I live, I'm less than a mile from a Kroger superstore. So I go there most of the time, to be honest. We also have we have a Costco not far away, and there's another Kroger superstore on the way home from there that I go to. So those are my main ones, but there's uh, there's a Chinese market in my area, and I'm telling you, I don't know what's in their plastic wrap or cling film if you're over in the UK. I don't know what's in there, but those things that they have wrapped will last for 3 weeks in your fridge. So I love to get my Napa cabbage there. I get bok choy there. Um, I'm trying to think what else they have wrapped. I've gotten some of their beans, but those aren't wrapped. Um, they have the best Korean pears. They're so good. Um, oh, nice. Yeah, see, that's perfect. That's perfect to have the individual slices. The other thing is, the thing is it a so it's a is it a sample? So it's a sampler with like, see, my husband doesn't like the fruity flavors. So if it was like a raspberry cheesecake or blueberry or something like that, he wouldn't like that, but I do. He would like caramel. He likes plain. Um, as long as the chocolate isn't too much, he would eat chocolate. He wouldn't want a chocolate cheesecake, but if it was a cheesecake cake with chocolate drizzled on the top, as long as he could have his whipped cream, he'd be fine. Um, thank you. My outfit today underneath all this is for the Cincinnati Bengals American football team. I am a lifelong fan. I am older than the Bengals. They started in 1967. I've been around a few more years than that. Um, and my dad watched every week. So I learned to be an American football fan. And then when I had kids, they all fell in love with the game we call soccer. So I became a soccer mom and I became a big fan. And about 2008, my kids started watching the World Cup. So we started learning more about all of the different soccer leagues over in Europe and around the world. And so I have two sons that are still big soccer fans. And my oldest son gets up on Sunday mornings and watches the English Premier League. My They both like La Liga as well. I don't know if anybody even knows what I'm talking about, but um, oh, that's funny that you asked me if I got squishy or strawberry. We actually went and got out some more fresh ripe ones because these were a little squishy and we weren't sure if they would cut. So they are they aren't super firm, but they're definitely going to um, they're definitely going to hold their shape. Let's put it that way. So so I'm excited, but I know over where you are, Ella, you make things with gelatin. We have our gelatin already pre-done. So alrighty. Um, oh, okay. So they also had the plain. That's great. That is good to know. Um, and I wish I had something else to make, but I really don't today because I really thought everything would. I thought everything would take longer to make. So I'm thrilled that the day went well. To be honest with you. And if you stick around, that would be great. If you don't, I understand because I'm going to sit here and chit chat. If you have questions about being gluten free, products that you're not sure about, or things that you would like to be able to substitute and you don't know if they're any good, that's part of the reason I started doing the channel. Is that was always the thing for me when I would buy something and then I would, I'm like, you spend more because gluten free tends to cost more. And then you eat it and you're just aggravated because you're like, I spent all that money and it tastes terrible. And then you just like want to hurt somebody because of that. You know, you're like, I just wasted all that money. And especially in the beginning, noodles were such a thing. It's so hard. And I actually use the King Arthur's 1-for-1. I use that. And I use it just like I make a roux with it, just like I do with flour. The thing is, you have to cook it longer because it takes a lot longer to cook out that floury taste, if that makes sense. But once, and it's dark, it'll be darker, your gravies will be a little darker. But once you do that and you start adding it in, it looks really weird um, because it's not quite as creamy. It seizes up in a different way. The way it seizes up when you start to put the liquid in, it looks almost gelatinous, but you just got to keep going. Just like with a regular gravy, you just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it absorbs a lot more liquid. So you don't need as much flour and butter in the beginning. At least, however, my family was delighted when they found out that I had to do that, specifically my husband, because I had to make more gravy because I had too much flour and butter in my roux. And I had to keep adding and adding and adding the liquid to make the gravy. So that's my favorite. But oh, that's true. My IT guy reminded me he's currently editing right now a video that we did, a recipe video. Again, some of the things I would really love to cook for you, but they just take too long. Um, it's called City Chicken, and it's a Pennsylvania. It's kind of a Pennsylvania Ohio thing, I think, uh, where it's on a little wooden skewer, and it used to be pork, beef, and veal, and now it's pretty much all pork. Now, if I go to a butcher shop around here, I can get it made the other way. But as I've gotten older, I don't eat veal anymore. I don't eat veal and I don't eat lamb. I have a hard time eating baby animals, so so I don't eat those. But you know, I don't judge anybody who does. Everybody's got to do what they've got to do. So my brother eats lamb all the time. So you know, it's you do you. I'm doing me. You do you. We'll all be fine. But but in that, every other recipe I saw did not have a gravy, and I grew up eating it with gravy. So my recipe will have the gravy, and I show you how to make the gravy from the start. So I will hopefully let you guys know. I think it's going to probably go up on Friday. We'll see. He's got a lot to do this week, so it might be early next week before that goes out. So keep your eyes peeled because I'm actually talking about gravy really soon. And I love gravy. It's one of the things that it took me a long time to be able to say that I do things really well. We're not going to get into why, but gravy is something I do particularly well, and I didn't realize that until my husband said, "You have no idea how good your gravy is." So I think you do a pretty good gravy, and to be able to do it gluten-free and make it taste good and make it the right consistency, it does take takes a little doing, to be honest. Um, I agree. Gravy does taste great with almost anything. And my husband, whenever I've got a pan with some drippings or something in it, he looks and goes, "You gonna make gravy out of that?" He's always up for some gravy. Um, the one thing I haven't made recently with it is a milk gravy. So I don't know how that would. It's always been with stock, you know, a beef stock or a chicken stock, or we did turkey at Thanksgiving time. We did that. We're gonna go check the cake. IT man, come get my cake out, please. He tells me I can leave because he's watched a lot of streamers and he's done some streaming. Like, you can go out of frame. It just doesn't sit well with me. So he's gonna pull this out and we're gonna take a look at it. And if it's good, I'll have to get out a, wow, that popped up. I didn't expect that to fluff up as much as it did. I'm excited. Here, let me see it. So we're gonna, yep, I think it's done. So we are going to get out a cooling rack for it. You want to set that down, and then I'll take the gloves from you. I'm not mad about that one at all. That's exciting. Okay. Hopefully it stays nice and fluff as much as it fluffed up. It's very pretty. And I'm gonna, it's come away from the sides, which actually makes me happy because then hopefully it didn't really stick. So that's good. And we'll leave it just to sit. Now, and this is what I was saying, an almond cake. Now, granted, this is a 9.5. It was supposed to be an 8-inch. I just didn't have it. So that's what we're looking at. They don't get real fluffy. So I won't be, like, if I had a regular cake, I'd probably split it and put a layer of cream in the middle. But because it's this way, I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to get it off this hot pan. There is parchment underneath, so, which is why it slid off so easily. I'm also going to have my son put this, I don't know, we should probably put it in the other room because it's so hot in here. So the dogs are outside, so we don't have to worry about them grabbing it off the table or something. But we often do that because our kitchen is small. We put everything in the dining room. You know, does your son-in-law, is he celiac? Because it's such a big deal for them. And I'm very careful when I tell people when I'm cooking. I'm like, look, some celiacs are so reactive, they have to have their own cookware. Like, they can't even have something that was cooked in the same pan as something that had gluten in it. And I feel so bad for those people because it is a really hard thing. You know, it's a really hard thing to have to worry about all the time. Which is why, like, my first couple of restaurant reviews here in the Cincinnati area, and I think there might be one or two in the New Jersey area, Christy. I know there's a couple of them on the East Coast, but I don't know. They're called BB Bop, and they are a completely gluten-free kitchen. There is no gluten in the restaurant, period. And then we also have we have a Colombian restaurant, and their kitchen is completely, they have 2 locations, and their kitchen is completely gluten-free. Oh, God love him. Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, because people who have celiac, they get misdiagnosed so much with IBS, gastroenteritis, all these things before. I think it's getting more prevalent now where they'll test. That's part of the battery of tests, is getting tested for celiac. But I just today saw a woman who, she and her 7-year-old were both just diagnosed. They're anemic and something else. They had a huge deficiency. And that's part of the celiac problem, is that you don't absorb the nutrients from your food because your body's so inflamed. And that's how I learned that gluten was my problem, was the inflammation and my joints. I thought I had arthritis, and when I stopped eating gluten, my joints stopped burning. And I cried because it was like I was out of pain for the first time. And I can't imagine combining that with all that internal stomach, intestinal distress that celiacs go through, especially when they get gluten after they haven't eaten it for a while. It's just so awful. Yep. It's textbook, unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's how the diagnosis comes about, when it's like, well, exhausted everything else. And I'm like, it's a simple blood test. And I told my doctor, I said, I don't care what the test says, because the first test they gave me, they didn't tell me I was supposed to be eating gluten. And I'm like, I'm not doing that to my body. I am not going to make myself sick just for a test. And then later on, they developed a blood test, and you don't have to have eaten gluten for that to show up. So I'm not celiac, but the longer I stay away from it, the more sensitive I am to it. I've seen that happen before to other people where they're like, I used to be able to eat a little bit of it, but now I can't even get near it. So, and there are people who are gluten sensitive that can't eat it here, but if they go over to Europe, it doesn't bother them. But even if you are, I always said I wanted to go to Italy, and then I couldn't eat pasta anymore. And I'm like, well, now why would I want to go to Italy if I can't eat pizza and pasta? And I found out that Italy is actually one of the best places you can go if you're gluten-free, because, the Italians, of course, guess who figured out how to make really good gluten-free pasta? Of course it was the Italians. Guess who figured out how to make really good pizza crust that's gluten-free? Of course it's the Italians. They know the food, and they know how to make it taste good. So now I really want to go to Italy again. And I know, like in Spain, they actually have gluten-free tours that you can go on, specifically where they will take you to like Madrid and Barcelona and a couple of other cities, and you basically go on a foodie tour, and it's completely gluten-free. So it's kind of cool. There's gluten-free cruises, and they clean the kitchen top to bottom before they do them, make sure that everything's set. And everyone I know that's gone on one of the gluten-free, the celiac safe is what they call them, celiac safe cruises, not one of them has gotten sick, not one. So it's nice when people take it really seriously. We've got a restaurant chain here that there are I think 4 or 5 restaurants, and it's everything from, there's a little taco joint, there's an upscale restaurant, there's a family type restaurant, there's kind of a pub type restaurant, and I guess there's another kind of upscale restaurant that this group owns. And one of the owners of the group, one of their children has celiac. So when you tell them you're gluten-free, they don't even ask you. The thing that cracks me up is people used to say, is that an allergy or is it by choice? And I'm like, would anybody choose to eat gluten-free by choice? I mean, it's just such a pain so often. And I understand they're asking about cross-contamination and stuff like that, but I'm like, yeah, not by choice. I don't want to be this. And like I said, cross-contamination never really bothered me for a long time. And I had an incident this past Lent, which my poor high tea guy, he's heard me say this to different people, but where I ate something out of a fryer I'd eaten out of many, many times, but it was the first Friday of Lent, and I'm thinking they just made a lot of extra shrimp, a lot of extra fish, and I ate French fries. And I got so sick. We were at the grocery store. I always seem to get sick at the grocery store. But we were at the grocery store, and I was like, I feel horrible. And someone had just told me that if you buy activated charcoal capsules, if you take that within an hour, you'll start to feel better. And we had them here at the house, but I didn't have them with me. And I took some as soon as I got home, and sure enough, within an hour, I was feeling better. And now I just tell everybody, I'm like, if you've got that issue, do yourself the favor and just buy yourself some activated charcoal capsules. It made such a difference for me. And I'm not a doctor. That's not medical advice. You can ask your doctor if that, but several of the groups I'm in that are gluten-free, they all say that. So, hi, Connie. Thanks for joining us. We're kind of in a lull right now. I'm waiting for a cake to cool so I can decorate it. I'm doing this for one of my subscribers. She asked me to make what is called a jelly cake, and what they call jelly over in she's in the UK, but what they call jelly, we call Jello. So it's a strawberry cake. I actually made again, it's kind of a Midwest thing in the United States. Some people call it uh, strawberry pretzel salad. Some people call it strawberry pretzel dessert. I grew up calling it strawberry pretzel dessert. A lot of people I know call it a salad, which is funny because the only thing even close to having salad in it is the strawberries. So, and if they keep barking, I will close the window. But the cake did look pretty, didn't it? I was very excited since I didn't have the 8-inch. I was so worried it was going to be like really flat looking. So I'm excited to get it all put together and see if it works. It's kind of like on Bake Off where you make something for the first time. You've never made it before. You have no idea if it's going to work or not, and you're just praying the whole time because I don't always have the right equipment either. So there is one, and it's probably going to be not till it gets cooler because apparently it's something that people eat at Christmas or at New Year's. There's a cake that is, I can't remember if it's from Norway or Denmark, and it's called like a kranskaka cake. I know that sounds terrible, right? But also an almond flour cake, but it's different size rings, and they go all the way to top, and it looks like a tree when it's done. And you dust it with something that's got green in it, and it just looks beautiful. And then you use a like a white icing where you drizzle the icing, and it looks like a beautifully decorated kind of, or a tree with greenery and snow on it. So it's just beautiful, and it's supposed to be delicious. So I might try one of those when the holidays come around. But again, it's a cake that's naturally gluten free, which is my favorite way to do it. If you can, I find that when I try to adapt something, it just doesn't really hit the same as the thing you grew up with. Like the earlier this week, I made pineapple upside down cupcakes, and they were okay. They were lovely, but they weren't pineapple. It wasn't pineapple upside down like my dad made the best pineapple upside down cake. But it was, it was lots of brown sugar and a lot of it was a really thick butter cake that he made. So I'm sure it wasn't healthy. But then again, we only had it a couple times a year, through the year. He would usually make one at the beginning of, like before it got hot in the summer, and then he'd make one like in the fall. And that was about it. We'd eat it once or twice a year, and that was it. I think he made it, it was the fall because I think he made it for Thanksgiving for his family. So that was already gone in one day too. You were lucky to get, like, I was a kid, so I got a half piece instead of a full piece. But hey, Mr. IT man, let's check that. Let's check that cake. See if it's cool enough yet. And if it's not, I might do the Bake Off thing where I sit and flap at it for a minute because I really would like to. I'd like to put it together before I normally get off the stream, but hopefully it's not too hot to do that. Is it still hot? Yeah, it's still warm, unfortunately. Although the top is getting there. You know what? Let's give it a shot. I think we're gonna do it. Like I said, the bottom of the cake is still a little warm. So we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. I do want to get I bet if we get the paper off there, it's going to be so much better. So we're going to peel the paper off. Oh, come on, don't stick. Don't stick. All right, mostly didn't stick. So we're good there. We're going to have to find a big enough plate, paper plate preferably, that that we can use. Ooh. All right. Got my handy dandy spatula. So we're going to go ahead and put that layer of cream. Like you see all the time on Bake Off, if you watch the Great British Bake Off, where they do this kind of thing when the cake is too warm and it just turns to like liquid, which I'm praying it doesn't do, since I don't have a plate underneath. But I want it to have like a nice layer of the whipped cream, which will lighten up that kind of, I'm sure that's kind of a heavy, not like terribly heavy, but a bit of a heavier cake. A little bit more over here. All right. I think that's pretty good. Now comes the part that terrifies me. Putting the jelly layer on. All right. But it looked like it was set, so we did the soft set method with the Jello soft set method, which should make it work. And okay, my IT guy says we're in good shape. And I put, oh, I'm glad we did that. All right, so we had to use a springform pan, and we tested it with water. The water just dripped right through. We knew it was going to have the same viscosity as water. And then, so what we did is we lined it with 2 pieces of cling film, or in our house, in the US, there's a brand of cling film called Saran Wrap. My husband detests this stuff. He said, I don't know why we have this stuff. And I'm like, you know, it works for some things. And he's right, it does. Or I'm right, it does. But he has now dubbed, instead of Saran Wrap, he calls it Satan Wrap. So he just doesn't like it. So, okay, it's barely set, but it's set. So pray for me here, people, because this is going to have to, I'm not sure how this works. Am I going to have to flip it? I mean, you get one shot if you're going to flip it, right? And I hope it doesn't squish everything out. So here we go. Ready, set, go. Okay. All right. Like I said, it's just barely set. It's not going to move the way it is, but whew. And the jelly's not coming off, so I'm not sure what's going on there. So maybe that's why, because it's not set enough. But for a first attempt, I'm not mad, to be honest. I'm just going to peel this off the best I can. It is not going to be a looker. She is not going to be a looker, but yeah, this is all sticking. So I probably should have sprayed it with something to keep it from sticking. But it is peeling off, so I've got that going for me. And then I'll just kind of spread out the jelly a little bit. And then, you know what? It's probably easy enough to cut. I'm going to cut myself just a little sliver right here. I'm going to need to get this where it's cool so it doesn't fall apart. Get myself a little plate, and we'll give it a try. See how we did. All right. So like I said, she's not a looker, but hopefully she tastes good. I've got a couple little strawberries on there. Come on, love. There you go. Just wanted a little sliver of cake. So there we go. The cake looks pretty good. I don't know if you can see that, but better on that side, I think. Like I said, the gel is just barely set. Probably should have gone for another 15-20 minutes. I'm not mad. I am most definitely going to add a little bit of whipped cream because why wouldn't I? So let add a little bit to that, but I'm going to give it a try, see what it tastes like. Oh yeah, that's without the strawberry. Now with a piece of strawberry, which, okay, if I were doing it again, I would cut the strawberries smaller. I would do what I did, slice them and then slice them in half again. Okay, that's what right. That's why my husband hates it, because it sticks to itself. Okay, this is kind of what I expect, similar to what a Victoria sponge would taste like if you've ever seen them make that. Um, oh wow, that is really, really good. Yeah, I definitely need to give this away because nobody else in my family is going to really like it, and I would eat this whole cake. It's so good, so delicious. But anyway, um, I will. So it's just a simple almond cake. There are several recipes out there. Some of them only have 4 or 5 ingredients. Find the one that you like. Make a whipped cream layer. Make a jello layer. I need to learn more about the jello layer, to be honest with you. But I think had I let it set for a little bit longer, it really would have worked better. So live and learn, right? That's what we're all doing here. We're living and learning. And if there's something, Christy, you said you want to learn for your son-in-law. If there's something you want me to try to make, I'll be happy to try it. If you want me to give it a go. And yeah, 10 out of 10, I'd make this again, especially if I was going to a party or something where I wanted to be able to eat something a little more decadent, because I don't think anybody who eats gluten would find this offensive at all. So, um, I've got my dinner is going to be done in about half an hour, and I've got my dessert for tonight. And tomorrow we're going to make picnic food. I'm going to make sausage rolls, and I'm not sure what else I have on the list. But tomorrow is National Picnic Day, which I guess because it's starting to warm up. So I'm going to be making a few things that I would take to be gluten-free at a picnic. And I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. I very rarely sneeze twice. So it was probably because I only did a half sneeze. But anyway, so that's what's on tap for tomorrow. I'll be back at the same time, 3:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 UTC time. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you so much for your comments and for playing along. We'll do it better next time. And tomorrow we'll have some picnic food. I'll probably have a good dessert thing to take along. Actually, I do have a dessert thing to take along. I have to go to the store tonight to get a few things. So we'll be back tomorrow making picnic food. And I hope you guys will join us then. So see you tomorrow, 3:30. And remember to subscribe so you get notifications so you know when we're going live. Love you guys. Have a great evening.